If we look at the next slide in our PowerPoint, we have a problem that says if I know that 5 pieces of candy cost 75 cents, how much do 15 pieces cost? So I have 5 pieces of candy and they cost 75 cents. My question is, how much for 15 pieces of candy? That's what we're trying to figure out. So I want to show you the table, the proportion, or the cross multiplication and the unit rate for this problem. If I want to make a table, my table is going to include the number of pieces that I have and the cost. So I know that 5 pieces cost 75 cents. And I can build this table in a couple of different ways. I want you to remember that with proportions, we're thinking about the multiplication. So I could multiply by 2, and then I would know that 10 pieces, if I multiply by 2 over here, would cost $1.50. Now, some of you may have recognized right away that going from 5 to 15 pieces is really multiplication by 3. So I could have done that right from the beginning. If I multiply by 3, 15 pieces, I would multiply by 3 over here, and 15 pieces would cost $2.25. Okay? The table is easy and effective here. The numbers are reasonable for us to manage. I don't have to build a really enormous table in order to get to my solution. Again, when we think about our M&M problem, that maybe wouldn't have been the best strategy. If I think about cross multiplication, or the butterfly method, one of the strategies I suggested to you was to ensure that you start with a fraction of words. My words here, the number of pieces, and the cost for that number of pieces. I could write this fraction the other way, and the work would still be the same. You just have to be consistent about how you write it. That's why I encourage you to write them with words. 5 pieces costs 75 cents. 15 pieces cost an unknown value. So I'm going to call that x. This is a proportion now. I have 2 equivalent fractions, and I'm going to solve this by cross multiplication. So 5 times x is 5x. 15 times 0.75 is 1125. And then in order to get x all by itself, I have to undo the multiplication by 5, so I divide by 5. And I get x is, again, $2.25. No surprise there. This is a much more algebraic procedure, and for some of you that maybe are hesitant with your algebra skills, maybe that's not the ideal one for you. If that's the case, I'm going to recommend the third technique, which is the unit rate. Unit rate is all about finding out how much one of these things cost. And really what happens here is I want to know the cost per item, or in this case, per piece. Singular, per piece. So it's 75 cents for 5 pieces. I'm literally just doing this division. I'm dividing here and finding out that each piece now costs 15 cents. So this is 15 cents per piece. Your unit rate is all about how much one of them cost. If I know that it's 15 cents per piece, how many pieces am I buying? We would just multiply by 15. So the unit rate multiplied by how many items I'm purchasing. In this case here, again, it turns out to be $2.25. All 3 of these techniques are valid. I want you to pick the one that works best for you and continue to practice it. I am going to caution you that the table is probably the least efficient, especially when our numbers are not necessarily ideal.